A while back, I believe November, I changed all of the water in the semi-hydroponic setups that I have. Since I use a very cheap and probably it's not even what it's advertised to be, hydroponic nutrient mix, the water goes rancid when I use it. But when I just keep a normal salt fertilizer, some of it seeps obviously when I top water into the water reserve. However, I have zero issues with algae or any other issues. I have not changed this water. It just evaporates and gets soaken up by the roots, and it gets replenished by top watering, which I do weekly or bi-weekly. And the water is completely fine. Here's the roots on the Trichocereus bridgesii monstrose. And yeah, I haven't done any maintenance or anything on these. I just top water and it's doing completely fine. And the same goes for the setup with the cacti. It's hard to show, but I haven't done a full exchange of the water here as well. But here I just need to be more cautious of if the water reserve is actually full. I checked it today and it was almost completely dry. Since this is a very heavy drinker, I just need to top water for a longer duration so that it fills some of the water reserve back up. And with this bridgesii, this is the only setup that actually shows a benefit or an improvement to the semi-hydroponic setup. Besides it being like a water and forget it setup where I could just water it and leave this for months without having to worry about rewatering. This one actually does show a benefit. This side pup has grown quite well and is thick, and the pupping is quite rapid since I topped it. And yeah, if I had a setup where I could do a semi-hydroponic setup, I would use it everywhere. A completely hydroponic system for cacti, I don't think it's worth a while, but with this semi-hydroponic, it's quite interesting since you don't need to worry about nutrients in the water reserve going rancid. You don't need to worry about oxygenating the water or anything. So this one, the roots haven't reached the water reserve yet, but there is some algae build up on the bottom. However, I didn't cover this. I didn't cover this at all, which I did see a large benefit from covering with some old clothes or a legging or something. And also initially, since this was a new setup, which I showed how I do it, there is quite a bit of runoff in the beginning when I water the substrate. Some of the topsoil does reach the bottom, causing that initial algae bloom and some soil being on the bottom. So yeah, it's been a few months. Even as bad as this is, I still wouldn't change this water. The only water that does have an issue is my kratom relative plant. So here's my kratom relative plant, and this is the only one that has a lot of algae, and it's probably to the point where it's suffocating the roots. I do need to change this one, but the plant is growing since there is a normal topsoil that dries out and gets top watered, so the roots on the top are aerated. But here, not covering it since it's a transparent container, not covering it, and the nutrients that I have to put a bit more since it's green leaves. I fertilize maybe once a month, or maybe every 2 months. I do add a fertilizer to my green leaves. So this is the only setup that I did have an issue with excess algae, and I'll change that out. But like with the cacti, I do fertilize the same routine as the rest. And this one, the water is completely clean. Maybe the roots, since it's a water gauge, I think that's true. Yeah, it might be filtering the water, I'm not really sure, but in the future I may try to test that. I'm not sure how I would do that, to see if a cacti will filter out the water, but that's just a random experiment. So I do cover this up since the container is white, and it does help a lot. But yeah, this is the only one that I've had any issues so far, and it's quite bad, and I will have to do that cleaning today. But the rest of my semi-hydroponic setup have been trouble-free. Just top water, and generally it maintains the volume of water. So the water is not rancid, but there is a film, and the algae completely covered, possibly suffocating the roots.